At the age of 11, my sister was diagnosed with medulloblastoma, which is a type of brain cancer. She had begun to be increasingly clumsy. And we just chalked it up to that. She's 11. She's going through different phases of life. And so she's just clumsy. She's tripping over herself. She's falling over herself. And then one day it just happened that she fell. She just, out of the blue, she just fell. And that signaled to my parents that something major was going on, that something big was happening in my sister's life. And so they rushed her to the emergency room where they did an MRI and immediately found the tumor and rushed her into surgery. And so after she came out, Kimberly, who before that point was able to walk and all these things, lost all that. Motor skills were gone. Her ability to walk unassisted was gone. And it was a major moment in our family where we're shook. It was one of those moments where you've had them yourself, where you don't know why it's happening. You don't understand why it's happening. You're trying to make sense of why it's happening. You can't make sense of why it's happening, but it's happening. And so we just had to ask, what do we do now as a family? How do we help her get out of this situation? How do we help her be better in the long run? And so we began that work. And we about that passage as we think about those events in our lives, as we think about those shaking, mountain-moving moments in our lives, we really have to ask ourselves, what do we do as Christians when it seems like the bottom falls out? And this reminds me of Psalm chapter 46, and it says in the word of the Lord, in Psalm 46, it says, God is our refuge and strength, a helper who is always found in times of trouble. We get in these situations where we forget that God is our refuge and our strength. And so there's two thoughts going on there. We see first that God is our refuge, and this is important because he's our hiding place. When life gets hard, we want to hide from it all. And typically what we do is we hide from God, not in God. But here it says that if we need a place to turn in the midst of the greatest difficulties of life, what we need to do is not to run from God, but instead we need to run to God. We need to hide in him. And it says that when we find him, that not only is he our refuge, but he's also our strength. This is interesting language because typically when you go hide somewhere, it's not always at a place of strength, right? You'll go hide, and if you think back to playing hide and go seek with your cousins growing up, you'll go hide. That doesn't always mean that you're hiding in a good place. It doesn't always mean that you're hiding in a safe place. But here it says that God is our refuge. He's our hiding place, but God is also our strength, that when we're hiding in him, we're protected as well. When the bottom falls out, when the cancer diagnosis comes, or when the financial difficulties arise, or whatever it is, the passing of a loved one, whatever it is, that in those moments we need a place to hide, but we also need a place of strength. We need a place that we can turn to in the face of those difficulties. And it says in Psalm 46 that God is our refuge and our strength. And it says that he's also our help, that God is our help in times of trouble. We're going to focus in on that word trouble here in a moment because we all know that trouble's coming, right? Trouble's just down the path. It is just down the road, and we know that it's coming. We've already addressed that in the opening. We know that trouble's coming, whether it be cancer or whatever the case may be. But it said that God is our helper. You don't often think about how much help you need when life is difficult. You don't think of how difficult it's going to be to put one foot in front of the other. But we need to know that God is our helper. One of the things that I've discovered, I've been in EMS for a long time, been in the fire service a long time. And what I've noticed is that when people are in their most difficult situations, when the stress hits the roof, most people freeze. Most people don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. They don't know where to go. The difficulties of life overwhelm them, and they just don't know. And so the role of a first responder is someone who can come in and help people, to guide them out of that dangerous situation or that stressful situation and put them into a better place. And the same, I think, is true here, that God is our helper in times of trouble. He's the one that helps us and moves us because he's our refuge and our strength. That when we freeze up because the mountains fall into the sea, because the waves are churning up all around us, in those things, the reality is that God is the one who provides us a place of help and a place of refuge and a place of strength, and he helps us move out of those places. And so today, what I'm just curious of is, what's the events that have popped up in your life that are earth-shattering, life-changing, altering the trajectory of what you know your future is? What are those things? Where do you need to turn to now and realize that God is the only place to turn, that He's the only one that can fix it, that He's the only one that can give you the victory, that He's the only one, because He is the only one. It says in Psalm 46, God is our refuge and strength, a helper who's always found in times of trouble. He says, therefore we will not be afraid. Isn't that a good thing today? To know that though the mountains topple, though the earth tremble, though the depths of the sea come and overtake it all, that we'll not be afraid. Why? Because we have a God who is our refuge and our strength. And so today, I don't know what you need, but I know where you need to turn. And you need to turn to the one who is capable and able to save you, to help you. Can I ask you today, do you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Have you put your faith and trust and hope in Him? Because today's the day of salvation. Today, there's not any other day but today. And there's no time like the present to say yes to Jesus. And so, may you be encouraged. God bless you.